Hey everyone, Hanz here, hope all of you are doing well. In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about philosophy, just a little bit. More so as I guess in this video it's more like a creation of awareness, and I'll also explain a little bit why. But there is something about the book that I have to ask all of you fellas who have bought one, for which I am very grateful. And I know I keep getting comments from people and phone calls even of all manner of folks saying that they're buying a copy. So thank you all guys, it's really appreciated, and I'm very happy. It's a great success, small as it is for now, and we're gonna keep building, right? Sure as we're gonna build all of ours, we have to build up our personal selves, and as a consequence after we can build up a whole better society as a whole. Repair where due and rebuild where necessary. So the request that I have for you guys in regards to the book, it's for those who have bought one. There have been people who like to promote my book on their own channels, but they would really like it if the readers left some more comments, because out of all that is going well, there is that want of those who have big followings that they can show their following immediately, like, oh, it's like 10 or 20 or so people who are like, oh, just honestly share their opinion about the book. And I'm not one to say that you should write what you do, just write what lies in your heart after reading it, and whatever that's going to be. But it would really be a boon if there were more reviews. So if you have the time and if you like to do that, that would be really helpful. And that's just quickly what I wanted to share, really. It is so that Thunraz the Thulian can be unleashed all the further into the world, and may a lot of good come from it, right? That is the intention. Okay, having mentioned that, I have been following people I know. Some I consider friends, some I am unfamiliar with on a personal level, but I do like to catch up with them once in a while when I have the time on their social media. And over the last year or two I come across a lot of channels where they keep bringing up a philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche. And Friedrich Nietzsche, he had a lot to say. He quite an astounding character who made a claim that one should pursue, or one should nourish the will to power. And the will to power is, I think, worthwhile, but is it enough in and of itself? See, what does the will to power mean? I'm not one to speak on behalf of others. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what was going on in Nietzsche's head when he said so, although the maliciousness that is attributed to him, I think, is totally undue and disrespectful, because this was a man who definitely did not toe the line with anyone, not with politics, and definitely not with the religious orders or the religious order that his family was heavily involved in. I think he came from a long line of pastors, and he was the first to basically give his direct family the middle finger. And in doing so, that is how I interpret it, I think that's where he laid his claim to power. It's not about how many cars he had, it's not about how big his house was, it's not about how many people obeyed him, because he was everything except about that. He did not, he wanted his philosophy almost to be a beginning, definitely not an ending, and also not necessarily a definition of someone, his lifestyle, because his very philosophy really clamors for the individual to be him or herself, be loyal in a sense to him or herself. and in doing so, that is how you claim power. Power lies within. It's not an external thing. External power is getting others to do what you want. Internal power is mastery, self-control. And I guess everyone can judge him whether he was successful at that or not. He at least figured that due to the illnesses that he suffered through his life, his migraines and all of that, he said that he overcame that. He overcame his pain, his will to die even, and that is definitely a position of strength, I would say. That is a powerful thing to do, to be almost crawling on the floor in pain and still say yes to life, whereas many others would probably have ended it long ago in comparison. So willpower in a sense as well. The will to live, the will to power, and a certain respect to yourself is that you want to keep yourself and optimize it. Or optimize it, I mean. To optimize it. One of his ways was also just going on plenty of nature walks. And yeah, I guess that's in short what I have read about him so far. Plus what I hear from others a little bit too. So again, take this interpretation with a bit of salt if you have to, or if you think that's true. But there are many people who believe that he aligned with a certain political ideology, and I think that is I think that does not make it does not make so much sense. You see, the greater man, as he talked about, right? That's that demonized term in German, the Übermensch as they call it. No, just translate it to the greater man. What is that? Is it about being greater than someone else, or being greater than you who you were yesterday? And I find it is I find it to be the latter. Every day a little bit stronger, a little bit smarter, a little bit more cunning, a little bit more eloquent, whatever it's going to be, right? Whatever, like the choice is really up to the individual. Hanz chooses how he's going to be better than his yesterday self as he sees fits. And you, well, what are you doing? Maybe you want to be a poet, so every day you try to be a little bit more eloquent in your rhyming. You want to be I don't know, an athlete. Well, you do that one extra push-up. All these little things, right? Now some might then ask me, but how is it possible that that his ideology got taken in by a certain political group? Well, that can be answered very quickly, because he had married in family members who were aligned with that. One of his sisters basically took his work post-mortem, so after he died, or when he was too sick to really do much anymore, unfortunately, when his body was about to give out. His sister and her husband, who was an officer, ran off with it, presented Nietzsche's works to a certain figure called, I think Haushofer was the family name, or the public family name, Karl Haushofer maybe. And this figure is the one who said that an entire race can be, you know, greater men. Now some of you already are going to look at Hanz and ponders, okay, but what are you trying to say here? Because, you know, so individually, so you don't care about, you know, your people after all, Hanz, and blah blah blah. Of course I do. But the way how you achieve that, you know, that greater self, if you will, is not necessarily done through a mass movement. These mass movements, time and again in history, have led to the people that I love so much to murder each other in the millions of, you know, over the centuries, maybe even billions. But if every individual, and I know that is unrealistic to expect everyone to be so noble of mind, but if a critical amount of those who individually improve themselves for the betterment of themselves, and then can externalize that through their actions by, well, I guess being inspiring and doing great things that will make others want to be great as well. And that can also be seen in history. Think of your, the Stoics were, I think, very big about that. Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius is a name that you hear a lot. Seneca, yeah, well, those guys, and a lot of others too, who continuously had the betterment of man in mind. But you start with yourself, and you cannot force anyone to greatness, and that is what a mass movement, what the expectation behind a mass movement is. You cannot force someone to greatness. Some might then wonder, but yeah, but how do you ever get anything to improve? Because if you still have a vast number of people who insist on being slobs, if you will, insist on being miserable and wretched and all of that, and there are such types, to be evil essentially, to pursue the unnatural, the anti-white and all of that, the anti-life. The thing with that is, you need to come to the conclusion that, or you need to, it's about freeing yourself, going free, as in the white positive sphere is being said. You need to free yourself from the types who are like that, because such wretches, they create systems that force the noble-minded, the creators, the go-getters, if you will. They seek to create systems that enslave these people to them, so that you can have a system going wherein the great creator has to, I don't know, or like a very hard worker has to throw half his income at some system, and that money gets siphoned to whomever, usually to the wretches. I could be wrong here. This has never been seen in history before, so I don't know. Hanz might just be talking nonsense, right? But that's the cure there, if you're worried about that. And I understand that, right? Because you have too many who suck the life out of a host. Well, the host is going to die off, and those who suck the life out of it, well, they won't have a tap anymore, so they die too, right? I get that. It's unsustainable, and it's unhealthy. It's it's unnatural in that it is unsustainable. It does not work together in tandem with nature. Now, that's not what this video is about. It's kind of a side topic, and what kind of a side topic it is. But you see, the will to power, there are so many who translate that into, oh, I guess there is the urge to want power. And these people are usually the ones who cling to organizations, be it religious, political, whatever it's going to be. And they quickly, they stop at the will to power. Even, there's so much I want to say here at once. It is actually these types who scare the average guy and the average girl, the fakes, if you will. Because, and the average, the fakes, if you will, are actually, I would say, correct to be fearful of these types, because a fake might not really stand for, for white well-being, like a little bit so and so. It depends. Fakes are fakes. It's always unclear with them. They don't make a hard stand. But that is also partially because they're afraid that they're going to replace one tyrant with another. Now you could argue, well, but the anti-white tyrant is going to make the life of the fake miserable, right? Okay. But here is something about, about man's condition. People are used to what they live in, what they have grown up into. And if anti-whiteism is just that, they're going to accept it as a norm by which to live, by which to be a normie, I suppose. Don't really like the term normie. But what you then demand from these people, how they see it is tyrant, anti-white tyrant, change, and then like something that is, well, I do not think there can be such a thing as a white positive tyrant, because it's still going to be a tyrant, and especially the white race loves freedom, like truly is in love with it, afraid of it, many as there are. In the core of our being, most of us, we really want our freedom. We want to wander the earth and be happy in it, and do good things. That's who we are, I like to think. Not all of us, we have the deviants and the willful evildoers and all of that. Sure. But overall, want to see good. Now, what they're just going to see is just another tyrant who's probably gonna just pose as being, you know, for white well-being. And there are such charlatans. I made videos on that before. I call that out because I don't want them anywhere near me, near my family, my friends, and near anyone with a good heart. They're, to me, just as black-hearted as any anti-white. And they are truly anti-whites because they're charlatans. Doesn't matter what they say. I know that there are thieves in the white well-being sphere who pretend to care, and then just get all kinds of money in from people who, like, grassroots, are building themselves up, and then run off with all kinds of stuff and leave these people, you know, hanging. It does happen. And these are the same people who will be that tyrant that the fakes fear, right? So, what is the point in the will to power that is missing? What is missing? What do we not see here? Or what do many individuals do not see? Because I think some plenty well understand. Is the will to meaning. Now, is there a specific philosopher who came along with it? Might be. If so, the name eludes me right now, and yeah, I guess I'll either at some point figure it out who it is, or someone will tell me. But the will to meaning should go hand in hand with the will to power. And what does that mean? Well, personally, if you ask Hanz what is meaning, or what is the meaning of life, it's the meaning what you give to it, to your personal life. It's not a general thing. The meaning to your life, that is the question. The meaning to my life. To go to Germanic lingual tradition, the word ek or ik, and in English it's a bit bastardized to I. It refers to the oak tree. The Germanic people speak into themselves in as if they are trees. And we have that. We have the DNA tree. We have the family tree, right? That sort of thing. You as a tree, if you will, you are a growing being. And that is a good thing. So the meaning of life, or the purpose within life, is in a large part growth. But you decide whether you are going to be a healthy being that grows, that has healthy growth about him or her, or you're going to be basically tumor ridden, if you will. You know, rotten branches and flaking moldy bark all over the place, right? Okay, individually we then understand that it's what you do with your life that, you know, that defines the meaning of it. If you do evil, I guess the definition of your life is doing evil. If you do good, same story with being good. That's very vague, I know, but how many, you can go into endless detail with that. So there's no point for me to go. It's like something that everyone has to figure out for him or herself, free from the influence of others. And that's coming back to Nietzsche, by the way. Nietzsche did stick his middle finger up to everyone who was a moralizer. Not necessarily moral, I think, a moralizer. The types who meddle, the types who tell you what to think, who tell you what to do, who want nothing more than that. The types who think that you are just a walking lemon for them to squeeze. That's what I think Nietzsche, the ones who want to implant you with mimetic pathogens, essentially. These are the types that you know, well, what have you? You get the point, I may hope. Right? To not allow yourself to be taken down by those who seek control over others. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter what they say they are. It's about what they do. There lies the definition, personally, individually. Now, okay, I know that a lot of people might think then, okay, Hans, but you know, where is it doing right for our people then? Because of course, the white race, for example, like that's natural reality, right? You can look at us. You might have anti-whites who try to argue, yeah, but where does it begin and where does it end? Because you have like people who have who are like from two races and it's one child. Yeah, that is called raceless. What can you do with that? You know, it's like 20% this, 30% that. It's like, it's not, this is not some kind of recipe, you know, to cook with or what have you. And you know, if someone takes issue with that, well, go look at the parents, I suppose, of those people. They're the ones who chose to do that. Anyways, so as a people, to understand, yeah, there is that genetic reality to it all. And again, the thing comes down to, it's about saving those who want to save themselves. The idea that you can give meaning to a person's life or meaning to a people, it's not done by force. If you try it that way, you know, like set up an empire, what have you. I know that a lot of people, a lot of young guys in particular, are very much impressed by all that. Oh, the purple gowns and the laurel leaves and the heavy armor and the swords and the axes. And Hanz likes that stuff too. I enjoy watching, you know, that sort of stuff as well. But that is not how you maintain anything. You know, that's not natural. It's unsustainable again in the long run, because all of those empires fall on their ass eventually. Can we learn from that? Like, do we really satisfy ourselves with another few hundred years, you know, a millennium at best, of okay, it's, you know, it's going okay, and gradually we see again the same happening over and over? I prefer that evil is actually thoroughly, you know, worked at, if you will, that the good prevails and remains omnipresent almost, but genuinely so. Not just in words, and not just in beliefs or dreams or what have you, but in in factual reality. Yeah. So the will to meaning. And I think nature gives meaning. Being in nature, the experience of being man, capital M man, and to marry that with your connection with everyone around you, doing what their vocations are, not just their jobs or not what they do for fun, like what they're truly here for. You know, whether that comes out in art, you know, like music, paintings, looking after, you know, raising the next generation, such a big one, you know, fatherhood, motherhood. I think that new meaning, once that is achieved, will present itself anyways. I do not think there is an end to meaning. The meaning, like, of achieving one thing and then taking a rest or two, whatever you want to call it, taking a rest, a vacation, and then setting yourself to the next goal, but like something that is more enduring than paperwork and paychecks and whatever it's going to be, you know, grinding the hours away of your precious life. And setting up a new empire is going to create only more of that. Personally, I distrust anyone who wants to be that is to say, I know genuine good people who want this, but I think they have forgotten about the will to meaning. and partially also the biospirit, the biological spirit that binds every whitey who is sane and healthy, is a spirit that has lost much of its manifestation. We are not even really ourselves anymore as we used to be. We have not only stopped growing, we have completely reverted in many ways. And for Hanz to say, well, the meaning is for all of us is this, or it's that, or it's such, or it's so, we are generations away from that. We might see like the current living generation in the early 21st century might see some of that, or might have expectations of that, or make guesses at it. But I think right now the meaning of those alive right now is to work on yourself, to understand that, to work on your health, to work on your vocation, what you're truly about. Really think about that, really work towards it, and then, you know, shaking hands with everyone who is doing the same thing in his or her own way. And I think that everything else will fall into place from there. Is that is that falling into place a bit of a loose dream of Hanz? Maybe, but I do honestly expect that. The people from European stock today, we are not living at our best, and every single one of us, every single one, is suffering from one or the other kind of trauma. Some more severe than others, but that is something that needs addressing long before we will manifest what we truly are into the world again. The towers and like the marble towers and the great castles and all of that, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's awesome, and it's also the tip of the iceberg, I think, of what we are capable of. And yeah, I think that people need to, I think it would help everyone if individually they ask themselves, but what is truly the meaning of my life? What is, like, how do I serve the divine in myself? Which is, in a sense, the divine that I share with all those of my people. Doesn't matter whether they're Finns, French, Germans, Americans, Australians. And you're going to have those who throw that away, and you know what? That's on them. That's for them. If you are going to be that guy with a gun at hand to say to them, no, you will not throw it away, I do not think you do anyone a service with that anyways. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's also the healthiest way to resolve a lot of conflict, because bloodshed, Hanz is not a big fan of good people coming to harm, you know. Anyways, time is running out on the machine. Build a meaning. What is it to you? And how do you see yourself? Pursue your vocation, and with that vocation, maybe do right by those you want to do right by in the world. Family, friends, your entire people. Whatever, right? Something worth thinking about, maybe. I presume it's not going to be the most popular of my videos, but someone had to say it. And well, if nobody else will, Hanz is always there to step as the first guy into the vanguard, or whatever you want to call it. You know, first in with a banner or what have you. But then again, there are other people who talk about this too. So if nothing else, I wanted to lend my voice in that conversation, and hope that people, or those who want to take it to heart, and those who don't, well, I'm not gonna stop you either way. It's up to you. And with that said, yeah, again, guys, for the whole Amazon thing, if you bought a copy and you want to leave a comment in the Amazon section, that would be appreciated. Would help me, and well, I would be very grateful for that too. So what a video, isn't it? like going after these heavy-handed topics at the same time asking for stuff. Oh, Hanz, so naive, so sweet. Okay, you all have a good one, and talk to you another time. Bye bye.